Hey, Black America. Trevon Williams here in Washington, D.C. at the 54th CBC Annual Legislative Conference, made for this moment, and your NAACP is absolutely made for this moment. We're having meaningful conversations around the economy, public safety, and the attacks on our First Amendment rights. Freedom of speech is under attack, and your NAACP is tapped in finding out more. Here's why this is important. Because policy is where these things take place. So on a federal, state, and local level, your NAACP is mobilizing and strategizing on every level to ensure that we make sure democracy works for all. Take a look at who we had the opportunity to speak with.
What are the policy issue areas that Noble is here tracking with our members here at CBC?
So first, just a little bit about Noble. Noble is the national organization of Black law enforcement executives. And our mission is centered around equity and justice by action. We serve as the conscience of law enforcement. And so in that space right now, law enforcement is under attack in various cities. And so right now, working alongside the Black Caucus, we are following policies like gun control and what that looks like, and watching how political violence has escalated in this country. And we're continuing to see our children die at the hands of gun violence. We're also following artificial intelligence and technology.
Yes.
That implementation, we're seeing a lot of innovation around technology and AI for law enforcement. We want to make sure that there are guardrails and policies in place that garner and explain how AI is going to be used for communities and for law enforcement. We're following some of the use of force policies, mental health, and some of the social issues around policies throughout the Congressional Black Caucus, because that affects how law enforcement does their job, responding to mental health calls or attending to those individuals who are experiencing homelessness. Those are not law enforcement related issues, but somehow policing still wraps itself around that. And so we need to understand how that's being legislated. Are there policies in place to take that away from what law enforcement actually has to do in public safety as a whole?
One of the things that we think is very, very important for our community to talk about is the National Guard.
Yes.
We're hearing the threats of what's going on down in Memphis, Tennessee. The threats there, we've seen it in Chicago, all over the place. Talk to me about what your experience has been talking to community around the National Guard, what they need to do, etc.
Yeah, so we know that there's been the DC occupation, which is right here in my new hometown. Nobody likes it. The National Guard is useless. They have just been basically being like a very domineering force to try to make us feel unsafe. It's the exact opposite. We don't feel safer with them here. We know that they're not really helping our community, because the way to help community is to actually solve the basic needs that people have. That's how you prevent crime. That is how you lower the risk of crime, is you actually make sure people are fed, housed, have education, that sort of thing. So now I hear that that man over at the White Supremacy House has decided to send the National Guard to Memphis, which is my hometown. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about that. First and foremost, we have been asking for help in Memphis for a long time. There is so much structural racism that has happened in Memphis because of what's going on with the Republicans who are in Tennessee and running everything. They have disenfranchised my city for decades. They have done this. The fact that it is the place where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 1968 is really a good way to describe as what has happened in Memphis. It's Black people trying to do better, wanting better, and then we have racism coming in and cutting everything down. And so with the National Guard, this is just another tool of white supremacy to come in and really hurt our community without addressing what we need, which is we need affordable housing. We need to make sure that the education system, I cannot tell you how little funding goes into the Memphis schools, how little support our educators have. That would make a huge difference. If we could make sure that people had public transportation, the public transportation is terrible. We don't have the right infrastructure for people to simply get to work, make the money that they need in order to live. Affordable childcare would make a huge difference, right? These are all things that prevent crime.
But listen, the work doesn't stop here. We want you to continue to mobilize with your NAACP all across the country. If you want to know more what's going on with your NAACP, we encourage you to follow us on all social media properties or visit us at naacp.org. Stay Black, be kind.